And that wraps up the Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union postgame download. For John Vitas, Lucas Kirshner, Cameron Green, and Andrew Halverson, I'm Mark Janowski. Thanks for listening here on your home for Twins Baseball.
This is Twins manager Derek Shelton. Thank you for listening to today's broadcast.
Hit through the right side, RBI base hit, Ryan Jeffers. Twins take the lead 2-1.
They had a pitch lined into left center field. That's going to tie it up. As Bell around first base. Ground ball, weekly hit should be 2. Keishel, the lead, back to first in time for the tailor-made double play. Nicely turned.
Byron smashes this ball deep into the left field corner. That one's back towards the fence, and it's off the base of the wall. Byron looping around first, looping towards second. He slides in with a crisp leadoff double.
Today's game was brought to you by Target, proud partner of the Minnesota Twins. Derek Shelton, signing off.
This has been a presentation of the Treasure Island Baseball Network.
Jason DeRusha
is worth, I'm going to go $350 million.
Net worth is estimated to be approximately $500 million. One of the highest paid media personalities we have today.
Also deeply insecure.
Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
First pitch to Outman, slashed into the gap in left center field. Ruiz chases it, won't get there, splits the outfielders and bounces off the wall. 1 run is in, 2 runs are in. It's a 2-run double for James Outman. He drives in 3 today, and the Twins lead at 8-1.
Twins end up winning 9-1. Stop your whining, Minnesota sports fans. All we do is win. All we do is dominate. Is this the beginning of the good omen for tomorrow night? Or is this just the incoherent ramblings of someone who's not from here? Welcome to Drive Time. We have just a couple of minutes before we get you up to date with all the news from around the country and around our neighborhood that you missed while you were listening to the Twins with a nice dominating win on a beautiful day game over at Target Field. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. I am concerned for the native Minnesotans because the Minnesota Wild epic collapse last night may have broken you guys. And I say you guys because according to social media, I am not allowed to express any sort of opinion about Minnesota sports because I am not from here. Now, the same is true if I express an opinion about politics. Someone's going to say, stick to food. As if being a food critic has been my main job for the last 23 years. That would come as a great surprise to my bank account. I'll tell you that much. Minnesota sports fans, what we're going to do at the top of the hour is sort of get into this question of whether, one, will a male sports team ever win a championship in this city? 2, if you are born here, are you more entitled to be extra miserable? And 3, are our sports fans and our sports media responsible at all for the fact that our teams never get over the hump? If we demanded more, would we get better results? These are some of the things that have been bubbling around in my head since I watched, I believe, the Minnesota Wild go. How long did they go last night again without a shot?
A long time.
It just had this sense. It had this feeling where you're like, okay. Watching the second period, you're like, I don't think I felt much urgency. And then watching the end of the third, you're like, all right, good start to the third. And then it was like, are they just trying to hang on?
I'm paraphrasing Michael Russo, who suggested that they spent the last 40 minutes of the game doing the penalty kill.
That's what it looks. Yes, that's what I said.
Historically bad at penalty killing this
Not
year.
great. Not great. Susie Jones is here. She's going to update you on the news. We welcome your texts and your calls at 651-461-9226. Continental Diamond Time Check is $3.59.
Streaming live via the Odyssey and iHeartRadio apps. This is News Talk 830 WCCO 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. Senators say they want to share the burden with federal workers in case of another government shutdown. CBS's Allison Keyes explains.
Senators unanimously approved a resolution to withhold their pay the next time there's a government shutdown until it is over. Republican Senator John Kennedy sponsored the resolution.
Shutting down government should not be a default solution.
Senators make $174,000 a year, but many are independently wealthy. The measure takes effect after the November elections, but it does not apply to the U.S. House. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
China's Xi Jinping warns President Trump that the two countries could clash over Taiwan if the issue is not handled properly. CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinograd says the reunification of Taiwan with China is very important to them.
The U.S. intelligence community has assessed that the Chinese government isn't planning an invasion of Taiwan in 2027, but they're setting the conditions for reunification. And they want both actions and a change in words from the United States.
Truck safety advocates call it a major victory. A Supreme Court ruling may open up trucking companies to lawsuits over crashes on the basis of the drivers they hire.
In a unanimous ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court will allow victims of deadly crashes to sue some of America's biggest brokers, which hire trucking companies to move goods.
Delilah Colvin was only 5 years old in June 2024 when a 18-wheel tractor trailer plowed into her.
President Trump during the State of the Union. Though the president focused on the immigration status of the driver, the High Court's ruling in a separate case will allow Coleman's lawsuit against the trucking broker C.H. Robinson to proceed. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
The top spokesman for Health and Human Services, Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has resigned. CBS's Linda Kenyon.
Rich Danker cited irreconcilable differences with the administration, which supported marketing approval of e-cigarette flavors that could appeal to children. Danker's resignation follows the resignation of the FDA Commissioner Marty McCary, who also objected to the approval.
Last week, the Trump administration approved the sale of blueberry and mango-flavored nicotine vaping pods. Across Havana, Cuba, protests have been breaking out as the city deals with the worst rolling blackouts it has had in decades. An ongoing U.S. blockade has been cutting the island off from fuel imports. Cuba's Energy and Mines Minister says that the country has run out of diesel and fuel oil and that the power grid is in a critical state. The U.S. delegation visited Cuba today. This is CBS News.
I want to know what's going on in the world.
I'm Tony.
There are big questions that all of us are asking. I want to get you the answers.
How are you?
I'm Tony DeCopel. Join me on the CBS Evening News.
Minnesota's trusted voice. Every hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Partly cloudy skies, breezy 77 degrees at 4:03. Good afternoon. I'm Susie Jones. The hour's top story, Governor Walz and legislative leaders announcing a budget agreement that includes a $1 billion bonding bill, a reduction on car tab fees, and money to keep Hennepin County Medical Center open.
This is the point where the leaders had to make decisions, and now they have to go back to very unhappy legislators and tell them what was agreed upon. And then you got to bring those things over the finish line. So there's more work to be done. That's where they're at. These will go around the clock until Monday morning.
That agreement includes $205 million to HCMC with a $500 million hospital reserve. Republican Speaker of the House, Lisa Demuth, on how they did it.
We did that by not extending the Hennepin County ballpark tax. We were able to allow that as it is expected to sunset. So we were able to help HCMC without any raising of taxes.
Republican leaders have focused this session on fraud prevention, car tab fee reductions, and a bonding bill. Senate Minority Leader Mark Johnson.
We were very reluctant to go up to $1.2 billion unless we had a deal that was something that we thought our caucus could get behind and Minnesotans would agree with at the end of the day. And I think what we're looking at right now is a good package going forward. We're at the upper extremity of what we're comfortable with. But I think if this sticks, we'll be in a very good spot.
Renovating the Roy Wilkins Auditorium is included in that bonding bill. Left out of the deal, relief for businesses that lost revenue during Operation Metro Surge and major gun-related proposals. Gun reform advocates delivered a petition with 7,000 signatures to Speaker Demuth demanding that a vote be taken on the floor Chad Kuiper is with Minnesota chapter of Moms Demand Action.
If you aren't willing to speak it with your full chest, if you aren't willing to stand 10 toes down on it, how do you feel about your position if you're not willing to voice it in public?
Former Republican State Senator Justin Eichorn has pleaded guilty to a criminal charge alleging he tried to solicit an undercover police officer posing as a 17-year-old for sex.
Eichorn, who resigned from the Senate last year, had initially pleaded not guilty in federal court to one count of attempted coercion of a minor. He changed his plea on Thursday. As previously reported, Eichorn was arrested in Bloomington on March 17, 2025, and later criminally charged as part of an undercover child sex sting. Eichorn had reportedly been soliciting a girl he thought was 17, but was actually an undercover cop. Ari Bergeron, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Finally, a rally for the raffle at the state capitol. Charity groups want lawmakers to pass the Meat Raffle Modernization Act. Amanda Jackson is president of Allied Charities, talks more about what this bill would do.
It just basically expands the cost that we can charge per meat raffle up to $5. So it's not eliminating a $1 or $2 raffle that's currently legal. It's just expanding that. And then it also expands the prize limits from currently $70 up to $200.
Without passage of the bipartisan bill, Jackson says charities who benefit from this Minnesota tradition will be significantly affected. WCCO News Time is 4:06.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
I got some problems up in Maple Grove for I-94 in the area of Weaver Lake Road. It's a rollover accident in the center median. Westbound lanes, you're going to find the left two lanes are currently closed. Backup that extends toward 169. Eastbound, all the activity for the most part on the left shoulder at this point. Traffic remains tight as you come down from Maple Grove Parkway. Traveling 169, got some slowing there both directions between County Road 81 and 610. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
And here is WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Our scattered showers will clear this evening, and then the clouds will follow suit. 59 the overnight low. It does stay breezy. That'll be the case tomorrow as well. But how about this warm-up? Sunny and 84 tomorrow. It stays mild on Saturday. Plenty of sunshine with a high near 80. Sunday and Monday look wet at this time. We'll keep an eye out for any severe weather chances.
Right now we have partly cloudy skies and 77 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Ever have a brilliant thought right after the conversation moves on?
I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner.
The voice message feature on the Odyssey app is made for you. Click the microphone right by the Listen Live button and send us your thoughts on your time. Good questions. Topics you'll probably talk about at dinner. Places to go for dinner. This is the Ride Home Reimagined. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRusha. Thanks to Luther Kia of Bloomington. Now, here's Jason DeRusha.
All right, good to be with you in the middle of a crazy sports week for Minnesota, a week that has a lot of us scratching our heads. What did we do in Minnesota to deserve such misery? The last time there was a Minnesota sports team that won it all, male Minnesota sports team. But I welcome all of you who want to, actually everybody who wants to take part in the conversation about Loserville, USA, and wants to take part in this conversation by bringing up the Frost or the Lynx. Why don't you let's start with it. Maybe you can explain why there's success there. Although, how'd the Frost do, everybody? How'd that go?
Frost got, screwed by the PWHL.
That's right. Don't get me going on that again, Dan Cook.
And the Lynx, the Lynx were title contenders last year until Nafisa Collier got attacked.
Yeah.
Got her ankle shredded.
Year before, they were jobbed by the refs. It sounds like Minnesota. When's the last time the Lynx won? Lynx apologist.
Been a minute.
What I'm saying is that the collapse of the Minnesota Wild last night, which was both one of the most expected things. As I was sitting watching that game, you just felt it coming, didn't you?
They got a 3-0, and you're like, hey. And then it was 3-1. You're like, oh. And then it was 3-2, and you're like, oh. And then you're 3-3, and of course. There wasn't a single Minnesotan that thought Minnesota was winning that game in overtime. Not one.
Are we destined to failure? 651-461-9226. A texter just texted in saying, please keep me entertained during my 1 hour and 47-minute drive home. So here's my question, because I believe that Minnesotans love to be miserable. You guys love it. And I say you guys because I choose not to experience sports in this way. You want to be mad, and you're glad the Wild lost, and a lot of you hope the Timberwolves lose tomorrow night because it will give you the opportunity to go online and be like, where? It's tough to be Minnesotan. Nobody likes us. The refs suck. The owners suck. The media sucks. The fans suck. And you love the misery. You love it so much. The worst thing that could happen to Minnesota sports would be a victory. And I know this because I grew up a Chicago Cubs fan. And part of being a Chicago Cubs fan was talking about, my grandpa died and never got to see, because we love the woe is me act. And I think Minnesota loves the woe is me act. You love it. Why? Why do you want to be so miserable?
I'll tell you why if you want to know.
I do want to.
Here's why. It's all we have. It's not like there's one team around winning championships and the rest of them all stink. They all stink. They all fail constantly.
I mean,
so you either have to embrace the failure and say, this is our thing now, or you have nothing. Then you have nothing.
I mean, the Minnesota Wild are probably one of the 3 or 4 best teams in hockey. That's pretty good. Who do you blame? Am I too Pollyanna-ish? Mark on YouTube says we deserve this. And Mark, by we deserve this, do you mean we deserve the misery? Do you mean we deserve a chance to win something?
Based on a later comment, I'm going to assume he means we deserve it because we don't demand better from Minnesota sports owners.
Oh, so that's very interesting because that's another sort of narrative that I'm curious to explore. I saw this sort of blow up last night when our friend Alec Lewis, who is the Vikings beat writer for The Athletic, and Alec comes on this show during Vikings season.
He's on our show a lot, by the way.
He has been on our show since he came to town. He's our guy. I would say he's our
100%.
guy. So Alec wrote, there will be a day in these towns. There will be. Responses include, there's no guarantee of that. With each passing year, it seems less likely. To be young and still have hope for Minnesota sports. 128 seasons and counting for the men's team. No freaking way, Alex. Only women win in this state. And
even that's becoming a rarity.
Poor Alec just got absolutely destroyed. Go easy on him, says Eric. Alec hasn't been here long enough to have the optimism completely beaten out of him. Man, to have this level of optimism. And I respond, I like Alec's positivity. And a lot of you like being miserable more than you should. That is my thesis, that Minnesota sports fans love being miserable. I think you guys like it more than you would like it if one of these teams actually won. Jeff is in Sauk Rapids. 651-461-9226. Jeff, am I wrong? I mean, I just get the sense that Minnesota sports fan, and I've been told that I'm not allowed to have an opinion because I didn't grow up here, even though I've been here for 23 years. My children have never seen a men's team in a championship game even. Not even losing a championship. They've never seen a thing, but I'm not allowed to have a viewpoint. What do you have to say, Jeff?
Well, as a side note, I'm glad you brought up the Cubs. I've been a Cubs fan for 30 years and made, I don't know how many trips to Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to go again in July when they play the Twins.
When the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, their first championship in 108 years, what they did is they just destroyed every Cubs fan from around the country. When I saw them win, I was tearing up. I was crying. Because I grew up watching the Cubs with my grandpa. Right. And I just thought, like, man, I wish he could have seen that. But I think Minnesotans would be crying because then they don't get to bellyache about how much their team's
worst thing that happened to that franchise. They were distinctive as the lovable losers, and then they won a championship, and now they're just another club.
Just another club. Is that what we want to be, Jeff? We don't really want to win, do we?
Well, I call it the Minnesota curse. That's what I call it. I don't know if we want to win or not, but I think it's a curse. Almost like the curse of the Bambino.
Yeah.
But during that Wild game, I was periodically texting back and forth with a friend of mine. And that 3-0 lead sure looked good. When it dropped to 3-1, that's okay.
It's all right. Yeah.
And in the last 4 minutes, and I sent her a text and said, these guys remind me of my bladder. They can't hold it for 4 minutes.
Very well done. Very well done. Thank you, Jeff. Texters point out Gophers men's hockey won in 2003.
Only 23 years ago.
It's true. I was here for that. I was covering the
riots.
Dinkytown riots.
Because you made the point earlier, we wouldn't know what to do if one of these teams won a championship, right? I mean, it's been 30 plus years since we had a parade in this town. Anybody know? Do we have cars? Do we have floats? What do we do? I don't even know what we would do.
Barb points out that Guerin went all in this season and still it wasn't good enough. Plus, the NHL playoff format is just stupid.
You got to sneak in that jab at the NHL. It couldn't just be that we suck. It's the NHL screwed us.
Now, I want to hear your reaction to this, and tons of texts coming in. We're going to break. Keep the texts coming. Keep the calls coming. You can send us a voice message on the Odyssey app. Just hit the microphone next to where you listen live. Alex on social media last night said this: Minnesota teams embody the mentality and culture of the local media who cover them and the fans who cheer for them. Everyone is way too complacent and comfortable with mediocrity. Does he have a point? Does he have a point? Is it our fault? It may be my fault, in fact. Think about it. I'm not from here, and I'm part of the complacent media that accepts mediocrity. Where do you see mediocrity on display? Every afternoon on AM radio, like you do right here on Drive Time with DeRusha.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hi, Danny Long here for Linda's Construction. Maybe it's time to protect that home of yours with durable GAF asphalt shingles. These shingles are built for beauty, strength, and boy, do they have long-term performance. Upgrade that roof of yours with GAF asphalt shingles. These shingles are designed to really stand up to our tough Midwest weather. Now, if you want to brighten that home of yours, get Infinity from Marvin Windows, built for lasting beauty, durability, and comfort. Get on the web, lindasconstruction.com or call them 844-9-LINDAS.
$4 a gallon gas? Let's save some money at Luther Kia of Bloomington. Jason here from my Kia Connection. Right now, they've got more than 90 electric and hybrid Kias on the lot. I just test drove the EV6. So much fun, and I can drive to and from work for 2 weeks on a single charge. The hybrid Kia Sorento SUV gets great mileage on the highway. The Red Hot Telluride has a hybrid, too. Check them out at Luther Kia of Bloomington.com, where 35W and 494 come together. Tell them Jason sent you.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-323-8922. 800-323-8922. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-323-8922.
Jason DeRusha.
One of the greatest human beings I've ever been around. He's just a wonderful human being. He's very caring. He's very loving.
Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Loserville, USA. When I'm being honest, if the question is, will Minnesota ever win a men's sports championship? I mean, probably someday. I'm 51 years old. Dan, how many more years do you think I have on this earth, would you say?
I mean, you're staring at us. You're in good health.
Mm-hmm.
I would say a solid 35.
35 years.
Yeah.
Do we think in the next 35? No, probably not. Does that make me enough of one of you guys to have an opinion if I have the opinion of misery? Texter says, I'd go streaking if we won something. So I think we're all thankful we haven't. Yeah, it's fair. If any owner were able to put together a championship team, I think they would be able to run for governor in this state. I actually think, can you really rip the Wild for what they did this season? And frankly, if you look at the Wild, they've taken big swings, but it's not enough. The Vikings, I think they've taken swings. I think the Timberwolves, the Timberwolves went to the conference championship the last 2 years. I guess if the standard is national championship or the season is a failure and our teams suck, then maybe I'm too accepting of mediocrity. I just wouldn't define for the Wild getting to round 2 and losing to probably the best team in hockey. To me, that's not a failure of a season. That's not our team sucks. Now, if the Timberwolves go down, I do think that is a failure of a season. I think I think we can take a look at coaching, right? Do I think the coach of the Minnesota Wild should be on the hot seat? Probably. If the Timberwolves go down, now both of these teams have major injuries, right? Both the Wolves and the Wild. So is this a coaching thing? I don't know. Texters say, Jason, being miserable makes the highs so much higher. Julie in Excelsior says, God didn't make Minnesota for sports. Another texter says, Jason, it isn't that we love misery. It's just that we're so used to it. We accept it. Kind of like getting a flu shot every year. Interesting. Lee in Coon Rapids says it might be because the type of players you need to win a championship are not always compatible with the Minnesota fan base. This is a very interesting theory, actually. Lee says you need a Jimmy Butler. You need a Tom Brady. You need an arrogant figure, somebody who's going to be arrogant like Alex Rodriguez. Oh, that's pretty interesting. This actually is a fascinating theory. It's not arguing that we're too accepting of mediocrity. It's arguing that what we don't accept is sort of the egotistical, arrogant player who often is the amazing player on a team. I think that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Complacency on the part of fans, says a texter. Owners see no need to spend money. So this was Alex's theory, right? That Minnesota teams embody the fan base. And here's my pushback on that. If you're a hockey fan, the Stanley Cup champions since 2016 have been Pittsburgh, Washington, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Colorado, Vegas, and Florida. Outside of Washington, like, which of those cities are known for being demanding sports media or fans? I mean, those are the champions over the last 10 years. I don't think that Tampa Bay fan base is known for their rabid, right? Like, what's the theory? What's the theory? Is the theory that if the fans were, like, didn't buy tickets, then different, like what? What would the Wolves have done differently? What would the Wild have done differently? Like, I guess I just don't understand that theory.
I also enjoy the media getting looped in on that, as though it's the media's job somehow to try to inspire the club to be better.
Well, we got to hold them accountable.
No, we don't.
So we should be going.
No, we don't.
Today.
No, the media's job is to report on what's going on.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
Texture points out, like, Randy Moss was that type of egotistical leader that got
the Vikings how many Super Bowl? Oh, wait.
Yeah. Why should the owners pay for players that can bring us a championship when we keep showing up? If we stop showing up, they will spend more money on players that can bring us to a championship. So I hear that a lot. I don't buy it.
Twins started having attendance issues. Which way did their payroll go?
Down.
There you go.
Now, is that it's not always a straight line with this stuff, but in baseball, for sure, when you have so little money coming in from your media deal, your attendance becomes the key factor as to how much money you have available to spend. Or you have an owner who just wants to blow money and try to get a win. Right? Those are pretty much the only levers that you can really pull. In some other sports, in football, there's so much money that comes in through the national media contract that's a different deal. In baseball, it is pretty much a straight line. So that idea of punishing the owner to get a better result, I guess to me, I understand the sentiment, but the logic.
That's just it. Yeah. You understand the sentiment for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an effective strategy.
All the Wild have to do, says a texter, is keep all the Minnesota boys here, and then they'll win the Stanley Cup.
Unfortunately, not how that works. But yeah, I mean,
the Loons are most likely to win it all. That's might be true.
I mean, haven't yet, but
I think the Timberwolves are. But the Timberwolves' number one problem is that there's no number two to Ant. Who's the Ant kind of, when Ant's down, he's up. And it wasn't Julius Randle during the playoffs. Sadly, like Randle has had a good run with us, but the time might be up. I don't know.
Wolves have had a good run. I mean, they're in the window right now.
They're in the window.
But windows don't last forever.
No doubt about
And
it.
if you're waiting to get moved to the Eastern Conference, you still got to play a Western Conference team in the finals. So,
all right, let's break in just a minute. We're going to talk about the closing announcement that happened today of Bauhaus Brew Labs. This story just breaking this afternoon. Lots going on in craft beer. It's a tough time in craft beer. Bauhaus mentioned a number of different factors. What I want to know is this the front edge of a bunch of closures? Is the craft beer kind of taproom era over? We'll talk with the Minnesota Craft Brewers Guild in just a minute here on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha is fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Go see Dan Dingman and the crew today, or always online at lutherkiaofbloomington.com.
Jason here for my friends at J.H. and Sons at the Galleria in Edina. I love the team at J.H. and Sons, the Halberstadt family. This is premium men's clothing. These guys know men's clothing. Do you want to look good? Do you want to look great? Do you want to dress up a little bit for work? Maybe impress the boss? Maybe you are the boss. You want to impress the team. J.H. and Sons can get you covered, whatever you're looking for. Summer weight, linen type suits, they've got them. More formal, trying to find something for a fall wedding, they got you covered there too. In fact, a friend told me the other day that he went to J.H. and Sons. He needed a formal suit, and he needed it in 2 days. He walked in right away. She was like, you're like new his suit size, guessed his pants size. They have a tailor right in shop. And so, boom, he was locked and loaded and ready to rock in 2 days, and he looked fantastic. J.H. and Sons could do the same for you. The service will remind you of the good old days of going to, Dayton's or back when Neiman Marcus was downtown. It is special. Get to the Galleria. You can sign up for their email list, by the way. They have a great email list that'll tell you about sales and events and things going on at the store. You can do that at jhandsons.com. But make a plan to get to the Galleria in Edina. Check it out and make sure you tell J.H. and Sons that you hear DeRusha talking about it during Drive Time.
Thought-provoking.
You hate cancel culture until it cancels someone you disagree with, then you're totally fine with it.
Curious.
Is angst about our Minnesota state flag still a thing? I just don't get it. Let's move on, people.
They don't just react to the news, they shape the conversation around it.
Republicans, stop sucking. Win a dang election at the statewide level.
Minnesota's radio station. News Talk 830. WCCO.
There's one box that you'd run back into your burning house to grab. It's the box filled with your videotapes, film reels, and photos. Those sentimental, meaningful, irreplaceable moments. Hi, I'm Nick Mako.
And I'm Adam Baselogger. We started Legacy Box over a decade ago so that we could help families save their memories from being destroyed by floods or fires.
And it's not just natural disasters, Adam. Every day, videotapes and photos are slowly fading away, decaying, neglected in closets and attics.
Digitizing your old media stops fading, and preserving those recordings means they are safe forever. It's like magic, converting your shoebox of memories into digital files, ready to watch and share.
It's the only way to ensure your legacy is safe for generations. That's why over 1 million families have already trusted Legacy Box. Legacy Box is simple and easy, it works, and is safe. We'd love to preserve your family's collection. Don't wait, the risk is too great.
Visit legacybox.com/radio to save 50%. That's legacybox.com/radio to get started and save. Legacybox.com/radio.
Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. We got a show and it's Guys and Dolls at Chanhassen and Dinatitas. It's terrific and delicious because you got dinner and a show. Don't take my word. Everybody's loving it. The Pioneer Press called it a must-see. Star Tribune called it eye-popping and blazing with brilliance. I heard a lady from Eden Prairie say this is the best show she's ever seen at the Chan. Grab your doll or your guy. Get your family over here for Guys and Dolls. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Plenty of slow stuff out there, including 35E, essentially both directions between Highway 62 and Highway 36. 694 slows both directions between 61 and Highway 36. Traveling Highway 100 northbound, get ready for your slowdowns there as you make way past Benton Avenue. Heading pretty much all the way up to I-94. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Nice day today. A little windy out there, though. We could use some rain, right? Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Scattered showers will linger into the evening, then clear out from west to east. The clouds clear out as well tonight. 59 the overnight low. Sunny and hot tomorrow. A high of 84. Should hit 80 on Saturday with plenty of sunshine. That's your nicer weekend day. With rain moving in on Sunday, there could be some thunderstorms, some of which could be severe. That rain will certainly linger into Monday.
Looking at the live radar right now, that rain is coming. The metro area, nothing right now, but out to the west. Buffalo, Monticello, Hutchinson, you're on the front end of this. And if you're in Wilmer or St. Cloud, some heavy stuff coming through. The rain a lot of us have been looking for, moving through Minnesota right now. It is 78 in St. Paul on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha, where the conversation's always in drive. Thanks to Luther Kia of Bloomington on News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRusha, he has the eats. Nobody brings you the Twin Cities restaurant scene like your favorite foodie. Now, Jason explores some of the great chefs, owners, and stories right in our own backyard. Drive Time now transitions into DeRusha Eats.
And DeRusha Eats is brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board. News that really is resonating throughout the Minnesota hospitality community, but especially the craft beer community, that one of our larger craft brewing tap rooms, Bauhaus Brewery, announced today that after 12 years, Bauhaus is going to close its Northeast Minneapolis tap room. The reasons, as stated by Bauhaus in a social media post, were multiple, because every time something closes, there are a multitude of reasons. And also, every time something closes, people grab onto whatever issue resonates with them, and they say, no, it's crime, it's this, it's whatever. But there is a shift happening in craft brewing, and I wanted to get some insight from the Minnesota Craft Brewers Association, the Guild, and Bob Galligan is with the Craft Brewers Guild. He's on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker hotline with us. Bob, this one hurts. Bauhaus is a pretty big tap room. They're widely available in liquor stores and in bars and restaurants all over the state. Were you surprised by this?
I would say I'm feeling a lot of emotions, but surprise is not necessarily the top of them. Partly because, I try to stay on top of things, and I know the folks at Bauhaus, so I know that they have been feeling the pain points for a little while now. As is every brewery, but that's kind of the main point. Is it's not shocking, but it is sad, and everyone is feeling kind of a lot of the same things that they alluded to in their post.
All right, we'll talk about some of those things in just a minute. But this year and last year, we've seen Lynn Lake, Wild Mine Artisan Ales in Minneapolis, Burning Brothers in St. Paul, Alloy in Coon Rapids, Invictus in Blaine, Schrammhaus in Chaska, Hoops in Duluth. Those are some of the big names that have closed. Are we sort of at the bursting of the bubble? I think that's a question that people have wondered. I mean, ever since we had 10 tap rooms, people were asking me, are there too many? It's going to be a bubble.
Right.
I've always thought it's similar to coffee houses. Like, you never have too many coffee houses. There's no bubble. But with craft breweries, I do think there is limited shelf space. There are limited tap handles. And we've seen maybe a shift in the way people are drinking. So is this a bubble bursting?
Yeah, I don't think it is the classic bubble analogy that a lot of people use. Having said that, full recognition that if there are more of the same types of businesses in a certain geographic location, there's going to be more competition. Of course, that's true. But what we've seen, and we've been saying, the past couple of years, that the craft beer industry has just been maturing. And we are no longer on a triple-digit year-over-year growth campaign, which honestly, name me one other American industry that has ever experienced that.
Right.
So, just because it is not as celebratory doesn't mean that it is that the sky is falling. Having said that, it is getting harder and harder. But in Minnesota, 2025 was the first year where we saw more closings than openings, and so we actually bucked the national trend for quite some time. We were either the last or one of the last states to actually see more openings. So we are now feeling what I think the rest of the country, and quite frankly, alcohol consumption is declining across the globe. So we have to deal with all those realities. But I don't think the changing consumer is necessarily indicative of any bubble bursting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let's talk about the changing consumer, because I've read the same things I think that you have read and that many of our listeners has read, that alcohol consumption in general is down, but more specifically, beer consumption and craft beer consumption is down. What are you seeing there? Is this just changing taste or changing demographics?
I think it's partly changing demographic, and actually beer consumption is and sales are doing better than even wine and spirits. I have to remind my members sometimes to thank God we are not in wine right now. But
wine is brutal. Wine is brutal, but it's alcohol in general.
It is. Yep. And I think that's attributable to a number of different things, whether that is GLP-1s, whether that is Gen Z being more health conscious. I think the whole globe, especially coming out of a pandemic, is starting to feel a little bit more conscious of their health and being more mindful. And there's nothing wrong with that. Having said that, alcohol we're part of the reason agriculture exists. We've been doing this since Sumeria. So I'm not freaking out that alcohol consumption is going to go away here. But the consumer is always going to continue changing. And, the question is just how do you change with that? And so at the Guild, we've always been very supportive, especially of the non-alcoholic sector in Minnesota, especially because we have such a large recovery community. And we have members who are making excellent non-alcoholic beer. But then also we pioneered the THC beverage space and hemp beverage space. So we have seen the consumer shift a little bit. But having said that, I have to remind folks too that breweries, brew pubs, bars, restaurants, these are the last remaining third spaces in America. And we might make beer, but what we're supplying is community. We are those community gathering places. And I think people are always going to be drawn to those places. I think the question of just what are they consuming when they go there is ultimately what keeps shifting and what we're trying to keep up with.
Bob Galligan is with the Minnesota Craft Brewers Guild. Now, Bauhaus mentioned a couple different things specifically for the reason to closing. One is they said substantial cost increases in their supply chain. What are they talking about there?
Across the board, we have been, maybe a bit louder than some of our members would wish, and some other guilds as well. But since the tariffs on aluminum and Canadian tariffs were announced, we have been very vocal that tariffs are just a price increase. And so we are seeing that now start to actually rear its head. It's taken a little bit of time. But also, beer has to get from point A to point B somehow, and that's by trucks. So any rising price in transportation or gas is obviously going to hit us a lot. There's also, barley price increases. I think not a lot of people realize that a lot of barley used in American brewing comes from Canada. So, dealing with all of those intricacies is incredibly complex, and ultimately it just is going to lead to a price increase. I think any brewer you talk to, the first words out of their mouth is, we don't want to raise prices. I think they have eaten the costs as much as they could. And so I think it is frustrating for the owners and the bartenders, just maybe even more so than to the consumer, in my opinion.
How much does the uncertainty over THC beverages and the fact that the federal government has passed legislation that would essentially outlaw the ability to ship THC beverages from one state to the next?
Yeah, it's top of mind for most folks. I don't think when I was in D.C. this last February, I made no illusions that between the THC ban and Operation Metro Surge, I mean, we're facing what I would refer to as an oncoming storm of possible decimation. The folks are hurting, and it's not just breweries and brew pubs, although obviously that's who I speak for, but I think it's also bars and restaurants, and I think it's small business across the board. So the THC part in particular is incredibly frustrating, especially because we've been trying to advocate for the responsible regulation of these products, just like we do in Minnesota. Since 2023, that conversation is certainly happening, which we're grateful for. Maybe grateful isn't the word for Mitch McConnell pulling this, but having said that, the conversation is happening, and we're still having those conversations. But it would be incredibly, incredibly impactful. And for us, part of the frustration is why? Like, what is the point of this ban? Because we have seen, great success and a new not only product to offer consumers. This has also brought in new consumers into the market. And we haven't seen any increase in traffic accidents. We've seen no deaths directly attributable to hemp products. So, when they say they want to protect kids from consuming this, we agree. That's why we passed law making sure that it couldn't be served in an outside 21+ environment. So, but there's a lot of jobs at stake currently.
Bob, talk about what you mean when you mention Operation Metro Surge, because as one would expect, the mere act of me quoting Bauhaus's statement has upset those who don't understand, if Minnesotans were so tough to stand up against Operation Metro Surge, and now they're what? Why are they not going out? What does that have to do with an ongoing impact now that we're a couple months away from when Operation Metro Surge wound down, at least?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's incredibly impactful, and it was a hard conversation. Still is a hard conversation. It's one that I've been trying to have with both federal and state legislators. Is whether or not you believe in a policy, that doesn't mean that it's not going to have implications and some kind of push. And Metro Surge has been incredibly impactful for small business across the board. And I can just say, at least for breweries and brew pubs, we had a fair amount of folks see anywhere between 30 to 60% decrease year over year in traffic to their tap room. And that's during January, which is already the most painful month for hospitality and breweries and brew pubs.
Is it still lingering, Bob, or have things come back a little more to normal?
I think it's definitely picked up. We're trying to keep track of the numbers. I think we're starting to hit a little bit more. But the good thing about Minnesotans, and I've always said to our brewery and brew pub members, is, you take care of your community will take care of you. And I think folks are showing that as well. They're coming out, and especially now that patio season is beginning. But ultimately, Metro Surge, as I was telling federal legislators, this was a state-specific pandemic. And I told my members during COVID, it's going to hurt, but coming out of it is going to be even more painful. And I think that's also kind of the case for Metro Surge. As we're trying to find some kind of balance, we're not going to see a whole bunch of spikes in sales left and right. So what is this new normal, and how do we move forward? And honestly, we've been championing some kind of economic relief at the Capitol, and we haven't gotten it, and it doesn't look like we're going to. But this has been incredibly impactful.
Are city policies an issue at all? Minimum wage, the sort of the leave, the family and medical leave requirements now. I mean, these are factors too, right?
100%, yeah. And rising labor costs is certainly one of the issues as well. And that doesn't mean that the employees don't deserve a higher wage. They absolutely do. But we also need to find where that money is going to come from and how to actually pay them a higher living wage. And so I think some of those policies for sure are impactful. I think also there is an element of taxation, depending on what city you are in, what county you are in. Sales tax is a big thing to take into consideration. And when it comes to, an actual tip, percentage, or whether or not you're doing just a hospitality baseline, dealing with that and the implementation of that has been a struggle. And I think a lot of the closures, I would never, try to speak for anybody, but I don't think every closure is certainly about somebody not being able to pay their bills. I think there's also an element of just frustration and burnout. Running a small business is hard no matter what, but under the current circumstances, it's completely unfair. And so I think a lot of people are just realizing that they don't want to do COVID again.
Bob Galligan with the Craft Brewers. I appreciate the time. I hate to even ask this final question, but do you expect more of this, more closures?
Yeah, I do. And every one of them is going to be absolutely as sad as the next. But we're doing our best to make sure that there is some kind of pathways and, as Bauhaus put it, levers for folks to use. But that continues to get more difficult by the day. So we're going to keep struggling. And if there was anything that I would say or ask of anybody out there, it's go support your local brewery, brew pub, bar, restaurant, small business. Doesn't matter. Right now, small business is hurting across the board. So support your own community.
Bob, thank you. Appreciate it. Bob Galligan.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Minnesota Craft Brewers. Yeah, it's tough out there. And it's all those factors. People get all hung up on one or the other, but it's sort of this pile on. 4:50, quick break, back in just a minute.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Uncertainty is everywhere in the marketplace, and if you need to sell your home, do you really want to deal with the pressure? Do you want to deal with the uncertainty? Maybe not. That's why Chris Lindahl created the guaranteed cash offer. It's Jason for my friend Chris Lindahl. I've known Chris for, 6-7 years. 6-7. Chris and I, look, you would love Chris Lindahl. You know him from the billboard, Arms Wide Out. I know him from generosity, innovation, always thinking about his community. When it comes to selling your house, Big Red Check is the hottest thing going right now, and it's because Chris knows that the buyer right now is very picky. The buyer is in control, and if you're looking to sell, are you ready? Are you ready to spend the money on upgrades? Are you ready for somebody taking you to the finish line and then maybe dropping out? If not, take a Big Red Check. Go to chrislindahl.com right now. If you're thinking about selling in the next year, get that free Smart Seller Guide. It'll help you make that decision. Should I list on the open market or should I call Chris? chrislindahl.com.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
We got a crash working on West 694 near Matterhorn. Look for the right lane to be affected and slow down back at Highway 10. Traffic continues to be heavy over to 100, and then it opens up only to slow again at 169. North 169 is jammed up from before the crosstown to 55, and then it becomes heavy again between Rockford and 610. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
We got a show and it's guys and dolls at Chanhassen and Dinatitas, and it's a knockout. The Pioneer Press called it a must-see. Star Tribune called it blazing with brilliance. You got gamblers, romance, and show-stopping tunes. Guys and dolls, visit ChanhassenDP.com.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
CCO forecast brought to you by Chanhassen Dinner Theater. Guys and dolls on stage right now at ChanhassenDT.com. Tonight, scattered showers. And I know if you're in the metro right now, you're thinking, like, where are they? Where are they? I'm looking at live radar, and they're close. They are close. Starting to creep into the western suburbs. Also rain in the north. Monticello, Zimmerman, you're getting wet. Shakopee is up next. La Center. So everybody, there is is it raining out down here? And maybe a little bit of light rain in the forecast. That'll fade later tonight. Tomorrow, 84. How about that? Beautiful day. And then Saturday, 80. Toasty weekend. And then Sunday, soaking rain. We need it. Right now, it is 77 in downtown Minneapolis on CC.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha.
We've been doing this for years. It's stupid. It is not what regular people care about. It's just like an absolute circus.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Watch me.
Am I the only one sad that Sun Country is now officially sold? News came into my email because I fly Sun Country a fair amount. I like Sun Country. I know, it's sort of popular to rip on Sun Country. It's not what it used to be. Good luck. You're on Sun. I freaking love Sun Country. You go into Terminal 2, you're in, it's easy. The flight attendants, especially on Sun Country, are so nice. Now, I've had great Delta experiences too. Delta used to be a hometown airline. Remember Northwest? We don't have an airline now. Sun Country and Allegiant are now one company. Now you'll still see the Sun Country logo on the planes, and you could still go to suncountry.com, but it's really Allegiant. And I guess part of me looks at this and thinks, why do I care? Why do I care? Because I'm probably like most of you. Whenever you fly, you just look for whatever the cheapest flight is. Now, some of you are Delta, like it's all about the points. You're doing that. I don't fly that much. I'm not like the business traveler, right? So, and same with you, Dan. How often do you fly? Once a year when we go to Florida?
Pretty much. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I fly a little more than that, but I'm not I don't have status. People like to point out when they recognize
you have plenty of status, Jason.
Thank you.
Don't sell yourself short.
People are always amused when they're sitting up in first class and they recognize me.
And you're not.
And I keep on walking. I've just gotten to the point where I actually booked a first class flight for Alyssa.
For a special occasion.
It's for her birthday.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I don't think I've ever flown first class before.
I did it once.
How was it?
Didn't go well. It was like the front of the first class, so there wasn't any place to put my stuff underneath. Yeah. And I didn't have access to my stuff the way I wanted, and that made me anxious. And then because I was a solo traveler and had switched and upgraded, TSA had some thoughts that they wanted to share with me. So I wouldn't do that again.
I don't like that Sun Country is gone. I don't like it. It feels like something was taken away from me. From us. We need our stuff. We need our stuff to be over the top. I love this because it's ours. I don't like it. Continental Diamond. We like those guys. Continental Diamond time is 4:58. Graduation season, Father's Day. Get to Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park. Get a luxury timepiece as a great gift.
There's one box that you'd run back into your burning house to grab. It's the box filled with your videotapes, film reels, and photos. Those sentimental, meaningful, irreplaceable moments. Hi, I'm Nick Mako.
And I'm Adam Baselogger. We started Legacy Box over a decade ago so that we could help families save their memories from being destroyed by floods or fires.
And it's not just natural disasters, Adam. Every day, videotapes and photos are slowly fading away, decaying, neglected in closets and attics.
Digitizing your old media stops fading, and preserving those recordings means they are safe forever. It's like magic, converting your shoebox of memories into digital files, ready to watch and share.
It's the only way to ensure your legacy is safe for generations. That's why over 1 million families have already trusted Legacy Box. Legacy Box is simple and easy, it works, and is safe. We'd love to preserve your family's collection. Don't wait. The risk is too great.
Visit legacybox.com/radio to save 50%. That's legacybox.com/radio to get started and save. legacybox.com/radio.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need to get the job done, with fast delivery you can depend on, and access to technical product experts ready to help you meet any challenge. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
When it matters, this is where Minnesota turns. News Talk 830 WCCO.
KMND HD2, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Streaming now via the iHeart and Apple Radio.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. Supreme Court preserves access to the widely used abortion pill mifepristone while lawsuits play out. CBS's Allison Keyes.
The High Court's decision means women seeking what's known as the abortion pill can continue to get it at pharmacies through the mail without an in-person visit to a doctor. The drug is the most common method of abortion 4 years after the court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Access is likely to remain uninterrupted at least until well into next year as appeals play out in a suit filed by Louisiana. At their summit, China's President Xi Jinping warns President Trump about differences over Taiwan. CBS's Anna Corin in Beijing.
When the cameras left the Great Hall of the People, this was the first remarks that President Xi delivered to Trump, and that is Taiwan is the most important issue in the US-China relationship, and that if mishandled, then it could lead to conflict. And this obviously was Xi drawing his red line.
Russia hammers Ukraine for a third straight day, flattening a Kyiv apartment block and killing at least 9 people. CBS's Aidan Stretch is in Kyiv.
President Zelensky has said was the largest attack on Ukraine of the war. Firefighters are still here. They're excavating the rubble from this building. They're still trying to find folks underneath. We don't know how many people were injured and how many people may still be underneath this pile of rubble.
FBI Director Kash Patel's snorkeling trip is being scrutinized.
Information obtained by the Associated Press shows the FBI director went on a VIP snorkel session last August at the site of the USS Arizona Memorial in Pearl Harbor, after Director Patel's official visits to Australia and New Zealand. The sunken ship is a military cemetery reachable only by boat and is off limits to snorkeling and diving with rare exceptions. The memorial marks Japan's 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor and is one of the nation's most hallowed sites, where the remains of more than 900 sailors and Marines are entombed. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
The Cuban government says CIA Director John Ratcliffe met with officials today from the Ministry of the Interior during a high-level visit to the island. The meeting reportedly served as a platform for Cuba to present evidence asserting that the nation poses no threat to U.S. national security. Meantime, in Havana, protests broke out as the city is hit with the worst rolling blackouts in decades. Resident Rodolfo Afonso. He says it gave them the motivation to come out to see if even by banging a pot, they will be given at least 3 hours of electricity. This is CBS News.
What is going on?
What's going on here? How is this possible?
Great storytelling starts here.
Oh, come on.
Why? It's time for 60 Minutes.
Minnesota's trusted voice, every hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Cloudy skies, breezy, 77 degrees at 5:03. Good evening. I'm Susie Jones. Happening right now, the Minnesota House is debating a gun bill that would ban assault-style weapons and high-capacity magazines, but it's not the same one that passed the Senate 10 days ago. DFL House Minority Leader Jamie Long says they introduced their own bill and voted to suspend the rules so they could debate the issue on the floor. He says Speaker Lisa Damuth has refused to bring it up for a vote, so they went ahead and did it as a way for lawmakers to show where they stand.
We will at least know tonight how our House representatives stand on this comprehensive gun violence prevention package. It passed the Senate. It includes assault weapons ban, high-capacity magazine ban. It includes support for mental health services, support for our schools to try to make sure that they are providing sufficient security.
Republican Speaker of the House, Lisa Damath, is defending her position. She reportedly told one of the mothers of a child killed in the Annunciation shooting that she would bring the bill up this session, to which she responded today.
When we look at the fact that I had said early on that as bills are introduced, they will go through the committee process, and I have held tight to that promise. Those bills did not continue going through the committee process because they fell on a party line vote.
She defended, though, the work that has been done.
What has gone through, which is part of the package, is the anonymous threat reporting. And that is important for families across the state. The mental health supports, that is important to parents and schools and students across the state.
Meanwhile, Governor Tim Walz announcing a bipartisan end-of-session deal that was reached. It includes a financial lifeline to Hennepin County Medical Center and a massive $1.2 billion bonding bill. $205 million in funding will go to HCMC, with an additional $500 million hospital reserve account for future funding. Governor Walz.
This group of bipartisan legislators sat down cordially with collegiality and fiercely debated our positions and came to compromises.
And finally, a call to modernize the meat raffle.
The significance of these raffles goes well beyond meat. Amanda Jackson, president of Allied Charities.
They bring people together, support local businesses, and most importantly, raise critical funds for charities, veteran groups, youth sports, fire relief associations, and community nonprofits across our state.
The bipartisan bill seeks to update a 30-year-old law.
The current $70 prize limit and $2 tickets were established more than 30 years ago and have never been adjusted for inflation. Since then, the cost of meat, labor, and operating expenses has risen dramatically.
The goal is to expand the cost of raffle tickets to $5 and prize limits from $70 to $200. Ari Bergeron, News Talk 830 WCCO.
They're going to shank this, aren't they? They're going to mess it up. You know they're going to mess it up. And then the legislature, Susie, they could figure out HCMC, but they can't figure out the meat raffle.
The meat raffle's a problem.
I don't know, man.
A lot in that bill, though. Car tab fees next year.
Well, we're going to have, so Governor Walz made it sound like it was all kumbaya.
But I don't know. They got a lot to sell back home at the ranch.
Well, Mark Johnson.
He's coming on?
He's going to be on at 5:35.
Awesome.
But I think he's the Republican leader in the state Senate.
Right.
And the Republicans are in the minority.
Right.
What I find interesting is when you look at the signatures of who came to the agreement, his isn't on there.
I know he hates that.
I asked him, I'm like, I think it's ridiculous.
Me too.
The governor,
I that,
you could, no, you don't think anything. You just report.
I just read. But seriously, if there's
just bring the guy in the room.
2 and 2.
I don't like it. And I'm going to ask him about it.
And today, Senate Majority Leader, DFL, Erin Murphy, said a swear word because she was asked about how, once again, the last 3 days behind closed doors, 3 people plus the governor come up with the deal. The end of session behind closed doors deal that sickens people, because what's the point of having a legislative session?
No. Yeah. Well, they do this every year. It's
she said no, but she said she hates
Never
it.
gonna
And
change.
whoever, no,
They all say they hate it. Do you believe it?
I don't know.
Why
It's
don't
drama.
they fix it?
Well, she thinks
they
whoever's
can't.
in charge next, she's going to work with and change it.
All right. Oh, hang on. I'm going to hold my breath.
Should we do some traffic?
I
and
think
weather?
so, yeah.
All
I
right.
can't hold my breath that
No,
long.
no.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Rain pushing into the west side of the metro. Make sure you're buckled up and the headlights are on. Your forecast coming up shortly here. Traveling south 35W, the ramp to County Road E2 is currently closed because of an accident with injuries. We'll let you know when things are reopened. 690 for westbound at Matterhorn, crash working there. The activity is off to the right shoulder, and your slowdowns began as far back as Lexington. USPS Ground Advantage reliable route's going to be West 94, looking pretty good right now as you come in from Woodbury and heading into St. Paul. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jason DeRusha here. The Canopy Group represents 16 different insurance companies, not just one. They give you options. Each year, they'll review your program so you don't have to, making sure you get the best coverage at the best price. Do like I did. Go to thecanopygroup.com.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Brought to you by the Canopy Group. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Our scattered showers will clear this evening, and then the clouds will follow suit. 59 the overnight low. It does stay breezy. That'll be the case tomorrow as well. But how about this warm-up? Sunny and 84 tomorrow. It stays mild on Saturday. Plenty of sunshine with a high near 80. Sunday and Monday look wet at this time. We'll keep an eye out for any severe weather chances.
Right now, cloudy 77 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Your social feed may show you what you like. We tell you what you need. News Talk 830 WCCO. He knows news. He knows talk. He knows nonsense, too. So get ready for a lot of each. This is Drive Time with DeRusha, fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Once again, here's Jason DeRusha.
Oh, the rain is coming. The rain is coming. We need it. I did my first mow of the year at the DeRusha house in the Maple Grove today. It felt good. That smell of freshly chopped grass gave me life. Gave me life today. Dan, do you ever think, like, what do you miss out on by being in an apartment? You don't get the sheer joy, the manliness that comes with mowing the lawn.
Yeah, no, I don't worry about that.
You don't miss it?
Not even a little bit.
Like,
I'm good.
Like rolling up the hose to make sure you don't run it over.
No, I'm fine.
It's pretty good.
Sure.
Fresh air. My college kids are, well, one kid is home. The other is coming home for Alyssa's birthday, which is next week. She turns 50. 50. Should I have said that? Are we still doing this? Don't talk about someone's age. Do you care? Do you guys care about 651-461-9226?
You asked somebody the other day. You asked a female guest.
Oh, I did. Yes.
What her age was, and we got a text message. Jason, you never ask a woman what her age is. So on some level, it's still a thing.
Do you guys think, is that still, why do we do that? Who cares? 651-461-9226. I want to know where you're at on this, because I feel like I ask this question maybe more than people want me to ask this question. I just think it's relevant to know, right? If you're interviewing a small business person, and we had a guy who opened a sandwich shop in Stillwater. He was on DeRusha Eats on Tuesday, and he's only 20. And I thought that was relevant. But, like, is it rude to ask a woman her age? I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's no big surprise that my wife is turning 50, like we're around the same age.
No, and I think ultimately context is everything, right? Is this somebody you know? Is this somebody that you know doesn't really care?
No.
You know what people think about their age? Or is this somebody that does really care what people think about their age? And then, I mean, what context are you asking? Like, you asked about this young guy, opening a sandwich shop,
right?
Because that's not something 20-year-olds generally do.
Sure.
So the context of it made that question perfectly acceptable.
But the woman who was on from the churros restaurant, being honest, the reason I asked is because she looked so young. I would have guessed she was 25.
Right. There's a way to ask it that says, oh, you're just a young person, so you don't, or you're too old to do that. You know what I'm saying? There's a way that you can ask it that is demeaning in the question. And then there's a way to ask it that's just a general question that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I don't think when you asked the question of her, I don't think it was a big deal. I certainly don't. I think it was absolutely a relevant question to the kid.
Sure.
On Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure. I just like to get an age check for people. Should we start every caller? Call in and tell me your age.
No.
651-461-9226.
I'm blocking the lines right now.
Why not? Mary texts in. She says, the new number beats a dirt nap any day. Always happy to age. I think there is this sort of bell curve, right? There's a point where you're ruining age. I feel like I hit the tip of the bell for me because I was ruining turning 50. I didn't want to turn 50. And then I did. Like, I wasn't worried I was going to die. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're like, oh, I worry about aging, like, because I'm facing my own mortality. That's not what I was worried about. 50, I'm like, please, I'm only getting started. You guys are going to be stuck with me for decades more. But I didn't want to turn 50 because 50 to me equaled old. And I didn't want to be old.
So as a young person, you're anxious to get older so you can do all your things.
Right.
Then you kind of hit the top of the bell curve there.
40 to 50, you're like, you're doing great.
Then
But
you're,
like 47
then you're worried
to 50,
about
you're...
and then at some point when you're on the way down, you just embrace it. And
maybe that's where Mary is.
I want to say that's very similar to our first topic of being a Minnesota sports fan, where when you're young, it's the greatest thing ever. And this is awesome. And then you get to that point where you're kind of like, okay, this kind of stinks because we don't win, but we're still in it together. This is bonding community.
Yeah.
And then you just, embrace the suck.
You might be right. 49-year-old is being entertained with this topic and still has 38 minutes left to drive. I think this is our friend who texted earlier.
Hour and however many.
What is happening with the drive home today, by the way? Like, I know the rain is sort of a deal. Ugh. Asking a woman's age, I think, is okay now, especially when you have an 80-year-old woman dyeing her hair bright red to look like she's younger. I do feel like we've gotten a little more comfortable with this idea of like, yes, we're getting older. And also, yes, we're going to do stuff to look younger, right? Like, you guys know I got a hair transplant. Like, I had a friend ask me the other day who was like, you're 51. Your skin looks so good. What are you doing? I'm like, well, first time I went to Tureen Dermatology, Dr. Tureen was like, look, if you're going to be our spokesperson, you got to do a little more than just soap and water, was what she said. Dave is in Burnsville. Dave, what?
Hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm doing great. How old are you? Let's just right out of the gate.
Oh, I'm happy to say it. I'll be 60 years old in January.
Congratulations. Is your birthday's right? Are you Aquarius? Are you the same as me?
I'm a Capricorn.
Capricorn, a little earlier in the month. So explain sort of give me a picture as to what my 10 years are going to be like. What's my next decade going to be, Dave?
Well, here's what you got to look at, Jason. This is tremendous, and it gives you hope and promise. Have you heard of the U curve of life, where you got, if you had a graph,
yep,
on your vertical is your happiness scale, on your horizontal is your age. And as a baby, picture you on that curve. Instead of the bell curve going up,
okay,
it's going down. And as you're younger, your happiness is high. And as you get down to about 47 years old, it's the most stressful, maybe unhappy life on average. But then it moves back upward. And they say the happiest year of your life is 73 years old. And when my dad went through that, I had to ask him, how was it? He said 73 was fabulous. I think it assumes some things, right? Your health and things like that. But that's the promise to look forward to, is 73 might be the happiest year of your life on average. Right?
That is something to look forward to. That does make sense. That you hit a point where you're like the worries about like keeping up with expectations or keeping all of that sort of fades, and you're just kind of glad to be around, you know?
Right, you got those kids through college like you're going through, and then stress kind of lets up, and then you and mama can get to know each other better again and maybe have some fun in life, you know?
You know what? I'm going to bring that up tonight, Dave. I'm going to suggest that with Alyssa. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Lots of texts coming in. We'll stick with this. 651-461-9226. Drive time back in just a minute.
Drive time with DeRusha. Tuned up and rolling. Thanks to Luther Kia of Bloomington.
All right, I promise I did not know this was coming up until Cook said, hey, Tareen is next. It's Jason here. Well, you heard my testimonial already. Do you want skin that makes you look like a young AM radio host? Get to Tareen Dermatology. I love Dr. Mohiba Tareen. I love the team at Tareen Dermatology. There are a couple things I want you to think about. First, this is Skin Cancer Awareness Month. Skin cancer is nothing to be messed around with. My dad has, he had so many skin cancerous growths removed. And so I go in every year for a full body skin checkup. I just want to make sure that any marks or moles aren't changing shape or size or color. If you notice one of those, get in right away. And Tareen Dermatology at TAREEN dermatology.com will get you in within 3 weeks. That is fast and maybe quicker depending on what's going on. They save room on the schedule for you because they care. They don't want you to wait month after month after month. Now, Tareen also has a cosmetic part of their practice. I went at first for medical, and then you go to the cosmetic, you're like, oh, there are things I can do to have that kind of youthful glow or to try to prevent wrinkles from developing or dysport or whatever you want to ask questions about. They got you covered. Great people. More than 10 locations all over the Twin Cities. You can get to all of them. Requesting an appointment online at Tareen, TAREEN, dermatology.com.
Chad back here with you. Never forget with Aquarius, making your life better is a high priority for them. It may start with worry-free water or your heating and cooling system. This is an important reason why Aquarius is family-owned and operated. They earn the right to be recommended every single day, upfront, no surprise pricing, 5-star experience, and treating your home with respect. They've been around since 1987. I trust them every single day. Visit AquariusHomeservices.com.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Drive Time with DeRusha is fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Go see Dan Dingman and the crew today, or always online at lutherkiaofbloomington.com.
What are we doing? What's going on?
What are we doing? We're talking about aging. We're talking about if it's appropriate to ask a woman's age. Because I announced that my wife is turning 50 next Friday. It's a week from tomorrow. I should get her something, don't you think, Dan?
Seems a logical idea.
Texter says, Jason, you have to ask a woman's age. You have high school girls that look like they could be in their late 20s. Single people have to be careful who they're hitting on. Now, I think that is true. I would say if you're my age and there's a chance that the young woman is in her late 20s, probably still too young. Right? Like, if it's
you can just nod at that point.
There are times that if it's a close call, you gotta move right along. I read, actually, a friend of mine posted on Facebook yesterday that her daughter got hit on in Wayzata by a guy who was in his 50s, and she is 20. And the guy said, after he asked her how old she was, and she said 20, and she looked like a little disgusted by it. And his response was, I've had plenty of girlfriends younger than you.
Oh, that's
like,
no.
No.
Wrong response.
That's not the defense you think it is. Let's go to Sherry in Coon Rapids. Sherry's on the John Schuster. Well, yeah, sure. We're going to give John Schuster the sponsorship of our phone line here. Sherry, how old? Well, first, talk a little bit. Where are you on me asking the age of a woman? Don't say your age yet.
I don't think anyone should ever be afraid to divulge their age. It's part of who you are. And the more that you accept the fact that you're aging and you're older every year, I think the better you accept the fact that you are aging. So you can ask, to me, you should be able to ask anyone.
All right, I'm going to guess Sherry's age now because you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
You sound, to me, I'm going 58. 58.
I love you. My children are getting to be that age. I am going to be 79 in July.
No way.
My 80th year. But here's the secret. I have a secret for everyone. And I'm going to take it from Marjorie, used to be the baker at the state fair.
Yeah, right.
Her secret to being older and happy is that you get up every single day and you're joyful. And I even have a needlepoint that says that. Jump out of bed, go stretch, stand up straight and breathe. I can't stand it because so many people my age are slumped over, they walk slow. If they would just stand up and have great posture, all of your organs get the oxygen that they need to be able to support you in a very helpful way. So that's the first.
Dan and I both we both stood up straight. You've got us.
Yeah.
You could just call in every day and tell Dan and I to stand up straight. That would be
I'm
great.
telling you, if you stand up straight and just breathe like God made you, that's the first thing you do. The second thing you do is that you must stretch. No matter how busy you are, be late for work, get on the floor and stretch out your body. And that prepares you to face the world. I'll tell you what, looking in the mirror has been a challenge. I used to be really cute. Now I'm going to be 80, but I got a new hairstyle. I just started ukulele lessons. I take classes. I keep my brain cells growing, and I look at the world with joy. Not that there isn't sadness, but that's part of getting old. But those few things will change your life.
Sherry, you're the best. I'm so glad you called in. Thank you.
Bye.
That was really nice. Wasn't that great? Texters say, years ago, I gave my sister-in-law a 50th birthday card that said, at least you don't have to worry about dying young.
Trying to remember which birthday it was. It was somewhere in, I think, late 30s, early 40s. My brother turned to me on my birthday and said, you realize your life's half over? Thanks, man.
Texter says, I'm in my 50s. I've had plenty of girlfriends younger than 22. When I was in high school.
Yeah. That's minor asterisk.
I do have a friend who is going through.
And by minor, what I mean is, anyway.
You hit the age where your friends start. Sometimes the marriages, you know, they're not always meant to be forever. And this friend was having dinner with me and Alyssa, and the conversation was over how young is too young. Where like one of his factors is like, is Alyssa going to approve of this person? And so what is the number?
He's concerned that the age might issue.
He's younger than us. He's about a decade younger than us. That's how I stay young.
The formula that I've always heard, and you know I like a formula.
Sure.
It's half your age plus 7.
So half my age. I'm 51. I can't do that math.
You can round down.
So
call it 50. Half of 50
25.
is 25. Plus 7 is 32. So your floor is 32. Our floor is 32.
Yeah.
Which seems
young.
Youngish, but not unreasonable. It's not like a 50-year-old hitting on a 20-year-old.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even like entertaining this topic because, my wife might be listening.
Think about the show. Think about all the content we could have on this show if Jason DeRusha was in the dating pool.
Ugh. It would be an absolute train wreck, don't you think?
Well, but what does everybody do when there's a train wreck? They stop and look. So, again, think of the show.
Good for the show. It's kind of, let's just think about the content. Texters are not believing that our caller was 79. Now, this texter says, my wife turns very young, 65 this weekend. I turned 61. We both look younger than we are. Reason is that we're optimistic every day. Try not to get too caught up in the crap things that are going on in the world, our country, and our state. How about that? I like that. I think that is key. Now, this texter.
I'm responding.
By the sounds of your voices, Jason sounds 55 and Dan sounds 25.
Yeah.
I've always had a bit of an old man voice, right? Or is it that my topics and takes are old man takes?
And I've always been immature for my age, so it all works.
Yeah. It's 5:30. We're going to break in just a minute. State Senator Mark Johnson. I want to know why Mark Johnson is always excluded from these budget talks. I don't care for it. I want to get his take on the budget deal that was announced late last night during the Wild game. Things were all looking so optimistic. At that point, we got a budget deal. The Wild were winning. That fell apart. This budget deal may yet fall apart, too. We don't know. But we'll get a take from Mark Johnson, what he wishes was in the bill and what he thinks about divided government. All of that in just a minute on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha is fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Always online at lutherkiaofbloomington.com.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by University of Maryland Global Campus.
Apple is considering diversifying its chip supply chain by enlisting the help of Intel and Samsung. Bloomberg reports Apple has been talking with the companies about manufacturing Apple's custom processors for iPhones and Macs in the U.S., which would provide another source beyond Apple's longtime partner, Taiwan Semiconductor. Intel operates 4 advanced semiconductor plants in Chandler, Arizona. I'm Jason Brooks.
Earn an accredited MBA in as few as 16 months for about $21K at University of Maryland Global Campus. Explore 10 specializations, including finance, HR, cyber technology, and more. Plus, showcase the value of your MBA with a comprehensive learner record and digitally demonstrate in-demand skills and credentials to employers. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Shell.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-1102. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-1102. That's 800-575-1102. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
$4 a gallon gas. Let's save some money at Luther Kia of Bloomington. Jason here from my Kia Connection. Right now, they've got more than 90 electric and hybrid Kias on the lot. I just test drove the EV6. So much fun, and I can drive to and from work for 2 weeks on a single charge. The hybrid Kia Sorento SUV gets great mileage on the highway. The red hot Telluride has a hybrid too. Check them out at LutherKiaofBloomington.com, where 35W and 494 come together. Tell them Jason sent.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Pump up
When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
And brought to you by USPS Ground Advantage. Got the accident working yet, South 35W to County Road E2, but the ramp has been reopened. Crashed itself on the right shoulder. 694 eastbound is jammed up. 252 heading out toward Victoria Street. 694 eastbound also slows between 35E and Highway 36. 94 westbound jammed up. Carmichael Road down to the St. Croix River. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
For the best windows in the business that are made to order just for you, an array of styles, features that will fit your project and budget, only one way to go. My friends with Pella Windows and Doors, PellaNorthland.com. Tell me, heard this from Chad.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors. Here is our chief meteorologist, Chris Schaefer.
Scattered showers will linger into the evening, then clear out from west to east. The clouds clear out as well tonight. 59 the overnight low. Sunny and hot tomorrow. A high of 84. Should hit 80 on Saturday with plenty of sunshine. That's your nicer weekend day. With rain moving in on Sunday, there could be some thunderstorms, some of which could be severe. That rain will certainly linger into Monday.
Right now in downtown Minneapolis, no rain here yet, but a lot of rain, especially out to the west. It is 76 degrees on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha.
Nothing. It just turns into nothing so quickly.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, so the big news that came out last night is that there is a deal between the governor and legislative leaders, a deal that will get us to the end of the session. Now, this year's session was a little odd. My expectations were low, to be honest, because it's not a budget year, so they didn't have to do anything. But they've done something. There's money for bonding. There is money to keep Hennepin County Medical Center, HCMC, and rural hospitals up and going. And there is a 1-year reduction in license tab fees, which I know that has made so many of us upset. The giant tab fees that people are getting higher than almost every other state. But I was curious to speak to the Republican minority leader in the state Senate, Mark Johnson, who joins us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline, because he was, he was sort of kept outside of some of these discussions, which I find strange. Mark, it's good to have you on. You reached this deal right as we were watching the Wild sort of collapse and have things fall apart. Kind of, I'm sure you were shocked to see that, right?
I've seen it happen before. I've seen it happen before.
We all have. That's for sure. Well, why don't we start with what you think is the biggest accomplishment of the deal that Governor Walz and lawmakers struck late last night?
Yeah, so it was a deal that we finished up yesterday. Now, being in the minority, we only really had influence over the bonding portion of the deal. And so it's not part of the total overall package, but the smaller portion of that. But we really wanted to emphasize two things this year. One is anti-fraud, making sure that we clean up the state from all the fraudulent transactions that have happened. And then number two is affordability. So that's really what we try to accomplish with the bonding bill. And I think we did a pretty good job of getting there. We've got a good bonding bill that's going to invest in the infrastructure of the state. Details of that bonding bill are still being worked out right now, but pretty excited about that. The other thing that we did was we reduced tab fees on your vehicles back to prior to 2023. That has been one of the biggest things that Minnesota has been talking to us about. And so we really pushed hard on getting $254 million reduced on tab fees. So Minnesotans aren't going to be paying as high a rate in 2027.
Do we
that
know,
was a big deal.
Do we know how that's going to shake out, how that's going to work out? Is it going to sort of rewind the funding calculations the way it was before?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So
but
we're
it's a
going to
one-year
rewind
deal,
on
so
the
you
race
guys
side.
will have to revisit this again next year, right?
We will, and that's going to be the importance of us getting to the majority here in the Minnesota Senate. We want to make sure that those things are permanent, so people aren't paying high tab fees. We're the highest in the nation right now, and so we heard Democrat leaders say they want to bring that back up after 27. So we're going to work pretty hard on making sure that tab fees stay low. So that's the one thing on the tab fees that we did. The other thing that we did was a lot of work on anti-fraud. And so we have about 5 bills within this package that address the fraudulent transactions that have gone on over the last few years. One of them is a 100% excise tax. So if you are a fraudster, you gone out, you've committed fraud, you get $1 million in your account. We've seen people have restitution, they're charged and they're found guilty. Their restitution is maybe $10,000 or $100,000. We're saying you can't gain from that fraudulent transaction. We're going to take all that money back. And so that's what one of these bills is doing. And I think it's good policy for the state.
The minority leader in the Minnesota Senate, Mark Johnson, is with us, Republican. All right, I have to ask you this because you mentioned that being in the minority, you're the one leader that sort of doesn't have much to do with the negotiation. Do you find that weird? I find it weird when I see we've got the Republican and Democrat from the House, but only the DFLer from the Senate. I just think it's strange. Like, why not have all of you in a room?
There's portions of it where we are in the room, but really where we can't offer the votes necessarily within making a deal happen, it's a little bit awkward to be in the room.
Like they kick you out? Like, how does this go, Mark? Like, they're like, time for you to leave.
Sometimes we're invited in, and other times we're not. But
I just think it's
it's
such a negative kind of perception. If I were the governor, I would want all of the leaders in from both sides because this is a Minnesota deal. It's not, here are the people who can give me the votes. I don't know. It just sort of rubs me the wrong way, to be honest.
Jason, I think we've seen from this governor, he's not necessarily the most relationship based. It's a very transactional type business here at the Capitol with this administration. We've seen other governors that really embrace that relationship with legislative leaders, having them over for breakfast and doing different events with them. More of a warm-hearted relationship. But this is more of a what can you give me and how do we get there sort of relationship.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. Explain the bonding situation. The deal will be $1.2 billion, but do we know what's in or what's out or how there have been some reports that there's $10 million for Grand Casino Arena in St. Paul, which isn't very much when they were looking for 200. Where are we at here?
A lot of those details are still being determined on exactly which buckets are being filled. And so there's buckets like agencies. So our agencies have a lot of structures and assets that need to be preserved and improved. So there's quite a bit of that bonding bill will be in agencies. Some of it will be local projects. So we'll have a road or some infrastructure in somebody's district, and they'll say, we need to get this funded. So that'll be another part of that bonding bill itself. Right now, our bonding chairs and leads are all together in a room working to try to figure out what that split is going to be looking like. And by all appearances, they are working hard. I was getting telephone calls last night at 11, 12 o'clock. So I know that they're trying to get that thing together. There's a lot of details. Even though we have this deal done, there's so much detail within it that still needs to be figured out. So it's going to be a sprint to Sunday.
Mark Johnson is with us, Republican minority leader in the Senate. What if there were one thing that you wish you got that you didn't get in this deal? What are you a little bummed that you didn't get?
I think it was we didn't get a wild win last night, which I am extremely disappointed in on that one.
Could have put that in the deal, maybe work that out. We need a center. We need a center.
I think we got to do that next year if we start looking at this again. So,
but you guys wanted stronger school security funding. I think that's not in the deal, right?
Well, I mean, again, this is a smaller portion of the deal, and the larger global deal that incorporates some of those ideas with the tax bill and some of the other bills that are floating around, HCMC and critical access hospital funds and things like that. That was a larger deal done outside, but I think within this bonding negotiation, we're pretty satisfied with how that turned out. We always want to make sure that we're getting more money back to Minnesota taxpayers, so they're paying less to Minnesota, that we're keeping their fees down. We're trying to keep a good track of their dollars that are being spent. I think we're pretty successful in that through this one. So I'm actually very satisfied with where we landed in this bonding bill.
What does this process tell us about divided government? Because this is the product of the fact that you had an evenly divided House and you have a very closely divided Senate. What is this a success for the idea of not giving one party total control?
I think we absolutely had a check on the Democrat Party that for 2 years in 24 or 23 and 24 absolutely ran the table here. And a lot of the work that we're doing in the bonding bill and the negotiations that are going on more broadly is trying to fix what was done during that single party control. So you're right, Jason. I mean, when you look at how the Democrats ran this state for 2 years, it put us into a structural deficit. When we had a surplus, it raised taxes by $10 billion. All these mandates that are going on. Talk to our school districts. You'll see the scores are continuing to drop for our students. This is the consequence of having that single party control by Democrats. We're just trying to fix a lot of those problems right now. So I wish we were talking more about how do we invest in our communities, and our schools, and our businesses, and make sure that this is the best place in the nation to live and raise a family here. That's what I'd like to be talking about. But we're talking more about how do we fix the mistakes that Democrats made.
Mark Johnson with us, and we appreciate the time as you guys kind of sprint towards the finish. And obviously it's so close over there. Doesn't take much for one or two people to kind of derail the whole thing, right? So just because there's a deal with leaders doesn't mean that everything's going to go according to plan over the next couple of years.
Hey, man, we are already starting to see a little bit of shaking here in the foundation over in the House as they're having to sit in there. And I know there's a little discontent from different pockets. So we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be cross your fingers and see if we make it to the end.
All right. Mark Johnson with us here on CCO. Appreciate the time. Thanks, Senator.
Hey, thank you so much, Jason. Talk to you soon.
Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's talk about insurance. I wish you could get insurance against a Minnesota sports loss, but that product doesn't exist yet. It's Jason here for the Canopy Group. Because when it comes to insurance, I don't know about you guys. I want choices. I want options. But I don't have the time to comparison shop my insurance to company after company, let alone 16 different companies. The Canopy Group does that for you with just one call or one visit to their website. They believe that you deserve all the choices, and so they've done the work up front. They have curated a list of 16 different insurance companies that will cover your home, cover your auto. It's insurance you can count on. I've had to use it, in fact. Had incredible service with the Canopy Group. They'll hook you up. But the peace of mind that comes with knowing that you have the best coverage at the best price, man, it's a big deal. The Canopy Group, with one call, will run your zip code, your cars, your house, your family situation through 16 different companies. You probably have one insurance agent who has access to that one company that's on their door. Canopy Group has 50 people working for you and representing 16 different companies. Reach out. The number is 800-967-3389. They saved me more than $800 on my home and auto insurance, and then they run that check year after year after year. You can get a quote right now online if you go to thecanopygroup.com.
Next item, proposed guidelines for state-approved hot dish serving utensils.
Spatula only. A spoon compromises the structural integrity of the tater tot layer.
This is Minnesota. We scoop with whatever's clean.
That kind of thinking leads to forks.
Forks are people too.
Not at my potluck, they aren't.
Could we maybe just put it on a plate and eat?
Most of us are caught somewhere in the middle. Reasonable, craving actual action. Just trying to get through the day without turning every little thing into a fight.
I want this spoon investigated by independent counsel.
For smart conversation, for common sense, and less picking sides on things that just don't matter. It's News Talk 830 WCCO.
$4 a gallon gas. Let's save some money at Luther Kia of Bloomington. Jason here from my Kia Connection. Right now, they've got more than 90 electric and hybrid Kias on the lot. I just test drove the EV6. So much fun, and I can drive to and from work for 2 weeks on a single charge. The hybrid Kia Sorento SUV gets great mileage on the highway. The Red Hot Telluride has a hybrid, too. Check them out at LutherKiaofBloomington.com, where 35W and 494 come together. Tell them Jason sent you.
Talking construction law today with Blake Nelson, an attorney from Helmuth & Johnson. Blake, why is having the right legal support so important?
One delay, one payment issue, or one contract mistake can put an entire project at risk and be the difference between making and losing money. In Minnesota, contract terms, timing, and documentation matter.
How does Helmuth & Johnson help?
We help contractors, subcontractors, and property owners protect their rights, get paid, and keep projects moving.
Learn more at hjlawfirm.com. Helmuth & Johnson, on your side, at your side, for all your construction law needs.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I was just at Staples. They're having a huge 40th anniversary sale.
40 years. Note to self, send flowers.
Up to 50% off. Save on chairs, paper, balloons, and more.
Balloons?
Yeah, Party City is now at Staples.
Surprise!
But the anniversary sale is only 2 weeks, so...
Quick, celebrate 40 years of savings at Staples with up to 50% off. Shop chairs, paper, break room supplies, and more. 2 weeks only in 523.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app.
Watch your movies from the best seat in the house with Barofka's M-Series seating solutions.
Comfort and convenience with over 500 premium fabric and top grain leathers.
Craftsman direct priced from $66.12 or $276 a month for 24 months. Just add popcorn.
Oh, Jim. Barofka's. No gimmicks, haggling, or hard to understand pricing.
In Woodbury, Burnsville, and Minnetonka.
Barofka.
Decidedly, well, you get the picture.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
For years, Gone South has been a podcast about crime in the American South. But for our new season, we're widening the lens. Through deeply reported, narrative-driven stories, we're digging into the myths, scandals, and power structures that still shape the South, and, in a lot of ways, the country itself. Follow and listen to Gone South Season 5, an Odyssey podcast, available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your shows.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Slowdowns continue west 94 across the St. Croix River Bridge. 169 is jamming up both directions between Highway 7 and Highway 55. You're also going to find some slowing 494 northbound Excelsior Boulevard heading up to 394. Eastbound 394 jammed up into Minneapolis as you move past Highway 100. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hungry? Go to Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan for real Texas barbecue. All meats smoked fresh in-house daily. You can dine in, take out, have it delivered, or have your event catered anywhere in the metro. Just go to Dickeys.com. Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan, the Twin Cities catering leader.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast is light rain. I'm getting reports it is raining over at Target Field, where we've got a Cretin-Durham Hall, White Bear Lake high school game going on. A little bit of drizzle. I see the windshield wipers flipping outside. Most of the rain is off the west. It is working through the Twin Cities. Low tonight will be 59.
that rain will fade. Tomorrow and Saturday are hot. 84 tomorrow, sunny, 80 Saturday. And then Sunday might be a soaker. Might be an all-day rain out. We'll see. We'll have a better sense tomorrow. Right now in downtown Minneapolis, it is raining, and it is 74 on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
You like it when I wear my hair down, but I say that way it just gets in my eyes. You say that's exactly what you like so much. I think that sums us up sometimes. All
right, a couple things I want to talk about before we wrap up the show and turn you over to Henry Lake tonight. Are we destined to fail when it comes to sports in this town? Last night, we had, of course, one of the more frustrating collapses, I think, in an actual game. The Wild up 3-0, and then just absolute nothing. And, you know, sports fans, I think, in Minnesota, I've only been here 23 years. I know my pain doesn't compare to those of you who have spent here a lifetime. And I know this because you people are such freaking martyrs, you won't shut your yap about it. I'm happy for you. You've been miserable for 55 years. I'm sorry I'm not as pathetically pissed off as you guys are. There's something about the Minnesota sports fan that just absolutely rubs me the wrong way. And not everybody. Most people are probably very pleasant. I should be more specific. The social media Minnesota sports fan, where misery and pathetic defeatism has found its home. And you found a community of like-minded, miserable cretins. And get over yourself. Seriously. Stop being like, it's major loser energy, right? Now, I get it. Like, our teams do suck. Our men teams. What about the Frost? Frost choked as well. Frost got jobbed by the league, man. Postpone a day just so those French Canadians could come back stronger day 2. Weak. But the Frost, what have they done for us, Dan? Nothing.
Nothing this year.
How about we start holding these teams more accountable?
When was the last time the Lynx won a title?
Wow.
This whole, at least our women's sports, I mean, it's not holding a lot of water right now.
2017, which was almost a decade ago, by my math. Maybe this is their year. I hope the Wolves can take 2 and buck the trend here.
But they probably won't.
I'm not going to do that. Like, that's for those of you who are born here and you're sad.
We know. We understand.
Why do people do that? Like, I will say, as someone who has lived here for 23 years, you aren't from here. Whenever someone says that, I just want to, I don't want to inflict physical violence.
You don't want to commit a felony, but maybe a misdemeanor.
I want to get right up close to
it.
It's sort of this gatekeeping, like we are the ones to be the most miserable, and you don't deserve it, DeRusha. And I don't want it. You can have it. But, it's also a choice. So I think people act like because you've gone through a lot, it's your right to be miserable. And you can do whatever you want. You're a fan. Do whatever you want. You want to be miserable. That's fine. But it's also my right to acknowledge the pain of the past and look forward to, I hope it'll be better. Now, I do think fans overestimate the importance of the fandom. I don't think the players last night sort of went into a defensive mode because Minnesota sports fans are too accepting of mediocrity. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Don't you think these players want more than anything else to win? Like this idea that if we would have cheered
they want
harder,
more than anything else to get paid. But then after that, winning comes next.
We're going to save for tomorrow that the Star Tribune used the F word in the whatever the paper is now today. Can I use the F word on the air now? The Star Tribune did.
No, you cannot.
But it was in the paper.
No.
Well, I got to tell you what. My effing number one place for jewelry is Continental Diamond. Continental Diamond, time check, 5:58. See you tomorrow.
Maintaining a larger home while